Air pollution is the contamination of indoor or outdoor environment for any physical, biological, or chemical agents that modifies the natural characteristics of the atmosphere. So, before we start, allow me to introduce myself. I am Jonel Brian D. Cedillo, and today I will be discussing what is the air pollution and what are those sources of air pollution. So, air pollution Air pollution occurs when dangerous particles, gases, and chemicals are released into the air. Next is sources. Sources, there are many natural sources of air quality degradation. These are the volcanoes spew out ash, acid mist, hydrogen sulfide, and other toxic gases. So there are types of sources. These are the mobile sources, area source, natural source, and the stationary source. So first things is, what is mobile source? So mobile source are primarily on-road motorized vehicles such as cars, buses, trucks, and trains. So these mobile sources are contributed to the harmful pollutants such as carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, particulate matters, and nitrous oxide. So next is area source. So area source is a well-defined area within which several of sources of air pollutants such as agricultural areas, cities, and wood burning fireplaces. So next is natural source. So natural source is, these are the natural processes that creates air pollution such as sulfur and chloride from volcanic activity, smoke and ash from wildfires, and biological decay. Next is stationary source, means any building, structures, facility, and installation which emit or may emit air pollutant. Next is the categories of stationary source. So there are three categories of stationary source. These are the area source, fugitive source, and a point source. So first thing is, what is area source? So as I've said a while ago, area source is a well-defined area within which several sources of air pollutants such as the agricultural areas, cities, and wood burning fireplaces. So next is fugitive source. So fugitive source, thus generated from this open source, is termed fugitive because it is not discharged to the atmosphere in a confined flow stream, such as coal, sawdust files, gravel roads, plums, and plunges. So next is point source. So point source is any single identifiable source of pollution from which pollutants are discharged. So such as pipes, ditch, and shift or factory smokestacks. So next is the categories of pollutants. So there are two categories of pollutants. These are the primary and the secondary pollutants. So what is primary pollutants? Pollutants that are formed and emitted directly from particular sources, such as carbon monoxide, particulate matters, nitrous oxide, and sulfur oxide. So next is the secondary pollutants. So secondary pollutants that are formed in the lower atmosphere by a chemical reaction. So such as ozone, which is formed when hydrocarbons and nitrous oxide are combined in the presence of sunlight. Next is nitrogen dioxide, which is formed as nitrous oxide combined with oxygen in the air. Next is the acid rain. Acid rain, which is formed when sulfur dioxide or nitrous oxide react with water. Next is the illustration of the air pollution process. So as I've said a while ago, primary pollutants comes to its primary source. These are the natural source, mobile source, and stationary source. So secondary pollutants creates in the lower of the atmosphere by a chemical reaction. So, it's through the primary pollutants such as the carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, nitrogen dioxide, hydrocarbon, suspended particles. So, these criteria of pollutants allow Ms. Jaira to further explain about this. Next, thank you for listening. I hope you have learned something new.